Boris Continuum Complete is a plugin package that consists of over 250 plus effects and thousands of presets. Some of the effect categories include lighting effects, blurs, color adjustments, and it even includes its own title studio. While Boris has an extreme amount of options, it's important to note that they produce their package for a variety of applications. This means some tools and features may be more useful to, say, a video editor working in Avid to someone in After Effects who already has a similar tool. Regardless, Boris Continuum has a ton of helpful features for After Effects users. Let's take a tour of the collection.
So if you're looking to follow along, I suggest that you go to the boriseffects.com website. And under the product section, you're going to see Boris Continuum Complete that we can access here. So this is where we can download a free trial of BCC 10 for Adobe or any of the applications that you might want to try it out in, along with some of the features that has come to BCC on the latest release, which is BCC 10. So you can see down here that some of the new features include integrated Mocha planar tracking in some of the effects, which we're going to cover in a later movie in another chapter. We're going to take a look at Beauty Studio as well, and how we can work with Beauty Studio, as well as we can see here that there's a section here for Title Studio or creating 3D titles using BCC 10. As you can see, this is an extremely immersive package of effects. So to just give BCC 10 one movie doesn't really give it justice. Think about this as an overview of some effects and some of the possibilities that you can achieve using Boris Continuum Complete. Without further ado, let's actually head into After Effects and take a look at this. I'm in my Chapter 1 folder, and I've clicked on my Chapter 102 project to open it in the timeline. So I want to actually close the other two compositions that are open in the timeline here. So I'm going to take the currently open composition, the one we just opened, and I'm going to control click it and choose from the list Close Other Timeline Panels. And this is just a really good habit to get into, especially since we're going to be opening several compositions or movies as we go through this entire course. I've actually already headed over to my effects and presets as well and did a search for BCC to minimize and see just the BCC effects contained within the effects and presets section. So as you can see, there are a lot of effects, which means there are a lot of possibilities. I would like to start off by showing you an effect called Browser. So Browser is a way to view several possibilities with certain effects and get an overview of some of those possibilities of what you can achieve using Boris Continuum Complete. So now that I've applied the effects browser onto a clip, and underneath the blur category, I'm going to select the Gaussian blur. Here we can see all of the various presets for this particular Gaussian blur that we could essentially apply onto a clip once we add the Gaussian blur. So as you can see, here is the add mode. And let's go back to the actual default settings of the Gaussian blur. And you'll notice if I actually hit the play button down here, I can preview this on top of my clip that's in the timeline. So let's actually close out the blur category. And let's head out to our BCC lights. I'm just going to hit the disclosure triangle to reveal all of the effects under the BCC lights category. And here I'm going to select the lens flare 3D. We're going to be actually covering this in another chapter, but it's worthwhile seeing some of the presets that ship with the BCC lens flare 3D. So here's another great way of getting comfortable with another effect, this BCC lens flare. You can select any of these presets and get a sense overall for what it does by playing it back. Let's head over to the BCC lighting category. We can see all of the things offered here from BCC lighting and just get more and more familiar with all of the effects that are offered within BCC 10. So let's actually close down the effects browser and take a look at one of the newer effects in BCC 10. In my effects and presets, I'm going to do a search for BCC lights. And you can see here my BCC lights category shows up. And underneath that, I can see my BCC light leaks effect, which I'm going to select and drag onto the clip. So what you can see in the effect controls is this light leaks effect is currently selected. And because it's selected, its on-screen controls show up in the composition window. These on-screen controls are like gateways to some of the most used parameters of this given effect. So just take a second here. I'm going to head over to the composition window And I'm going to play with this first item here, which is going to play with the exposure of the clip. Now I'm going to play with the opacity of this light leak. Now I'm going to play with the scale, or the simulated scale of the light leak. And finally, its position on screen. This effect also has a gateway to the effects browser, but just for the light leaks effect. So here in the effects browser under light leak, I'm seeing or being able to preview all the presets that are available. And I'm going to stop here on the leaky film canister. I kind of really dig this effect. And the great part about it is I can apply it onto the clip, unlike the effects browser. So the effects browser, think about it as browsing your effects. If you select any effect from the BCC 10 library besides that, you're going to be able to apply presets that are assigned with that effect. Let me click the disclosure triangle for this effect and click off of it to get out of this effect. And let's explore one other effect in the BCC 10 library. Here in effects and presets, I'm going to do a search for grunge to find the BCC grunge effect, which will apply onto a clip. So you can think about the grunge as a texture-based effect. It could be great for backgrounds, or it could be great for an overlay on top of your video clip that you can blend in. So let's go into the effects browser and see a few things that are available. You can see here a dirty grunge effect. I've got various ink splats that I can choose from, or I could choose heavy metal. And of course, I can play with the opacity to bring down the strength of this effect so that it blends in better to the video clip. And think about applying this to a solid just as a background that you can use your project. I consider it a texture library included in BCC 10 for all different types of things. So I kind of like the dirty grunge preset. So let's apply that to the clip by simply clicking on this button. We're back inside After Effects with this preset on our footage. And just look at the effect controls and all of the possibilities of the parameters that come with this effect. So you can turn on and off certain parts of the texture. So just know here, I've just actually clicked on vignettes and vignette has been active. I can play with the orbs as well as the dust. So at the top, we've also got transformational effects. We can play with the opacity like we did in the preset area. We can even flip the texture on a particular axis, and we can scale it up in size quite easily here. So that's 3 effects out of the hundreds that are available. I encourage you to take a further look at what the BCC 10 immersive library has to offer, and also encourage you to come along to a couple of the extra movies where we'll be covering a few of these features in more detail.